गुड आफ्टरनून एवरीवन। आप सभी को मेरा नमस्कार। मेरा नाम मोहम्मद एहसान, मैं क्रॉस डिसेबिलिटी शीघ्र हस्तक्षेप केंद्र में राष्ट्रीय दृष्टि दिव्यांग सशक्तिकरण संस्थान में एज अ ऑडियोलॉजिस्ट एंड स्पीच थेरेपिस्ट के रूप में कार्यरत हूँ। और मैं इस प्रोग्राम में आपका तहे दिल से, इसकी जो थीम है हमारी इफेक्टिवनेस ऑफ टेली फिजियोथेरेपी इन मस्कुलोस्केलेटल जेरेट्रिक केयर में, तहे दिल से स्वागत करता हूं। और आज हमारे साथ इस सेशन में जुड़े हैं चेयरपर्सन के रूप में डॉक्टर पीपी मोहंती सर, को चेयरपर्सन के रूप में जुड़े हैं डॉक्टर प्रवीण कुमार सर, और कीनोट स्पीकर के रूप में जुड़े हैं डॉक्टर दर्शप्रीत कौर मैम, एवं हमारे सेशन कोऑर्डिनेटर के रूप में मैं एवं हमारे डॉक्टर विद्याभूषण सर जुड़े हैं। और यह आज का हमारा कार्यक्रम दो हिस्सों में बटा हुआ है। पहला हिस्सा हमारा इनॉग्रेशन सेशन है, जिसमें हमारे विद्याभूषण सर हमारे वेलकम एड्रेस करेंगे हमारे गेस्ट को, हमारे प्रेजेंटर्स को, हमारे पार्टिसिपेंट को। देन हमारे कीनोट स्पीकर जो है डॉक्टर दर्शिका मैम हमें अपने उच्च विचार से लाभान्वित करेंगे। उसके बाद हमारा सेशन पार्ट स्टार्ट होगा सेकंड 2, जो कि हमारा टेक्निकल सेशन पेपर कॉलिंग के लिए होगा। हमारे 4 प्रेजेंटर्स हैं जो अपने क्रम के अनुसार अपने पेपर को प्रेजेंट करेंगे। इसी क्रम में आगे बढ़ते समय हम इस कार्य के अंत में पहुंचेंगे। मैं आशा करता हूं कि आप सभी हमारे पार्टिसिपेंट अंत तक बने रहें इस प्रोग्राम में, और मैं उम्मीद करता हूं कि इस सेशन में आप जरूर कुछ ना कुछ सीख करके जाएंगे। और मैं इसी क्रम में आगे बढ़ते हुए रिक्वेस्ट करता हूं कि विद्याभूषण सर के इसको सेशन को टेक ओवर कंटिन्यू करें। प्लीज विद्याभूषण सर।
परम श्रद्धेय निर्देशक महोदय डॉक्टर हिमांशु दास सर, राष्ट्रीय दृष्टि दिव्यांगजन संस्थान देहरादून, आईएपी प्रेसिडेंट डॉक्टर संजीव झा, आईएसएचए प्रेसिडेंट डॉक्टर कृष्णा बाई, आज के तकनीकी संगोष्ठी संख्या 3 के चेयरपर्सन डॉक्टर पीपी मोहंती सर, वो चेयरपर्सन डॉक्टर प्रवीण कुमार सर, कीनोट स्पीकर डॉक्टर दर्शप्रीत कौर मैम, प्रतिभागीगण एवं श्रोतागण, आप सभी की उपस्थिति में मुझे संगोष्ठी का विवरण एवं सम्मानित जनों का स्वागत करने का अवसर मिला है। उसके लिए मैं संस्थान के प्रति आभार एवं अपने लिए आनंदित एवं गौरवान्वित महसूस कर रहा हूँ। सर्वप्रथम आप सभी को विश्व भौतिक चिकित्सा दिवस की हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं। विगत 2 वर्षों से पूरा विश्व कोरोना 19 की महामारी झेल रहा है, जहां एक तरफ इसके आत्मघाती प्रभाव है तो दूसरी तरफ अन्य तरह की चिकित्सीय समस्याएं उत्पन्न हो रही हैं। ऐसे समय में टेली फिजियोथेरेपी एक वरदान के रूप में साबित हो रहा है। जहां दूर दराज के क्षेत्रों में सेवाएं उपलब्ध नहीं है, मौसम की प्रतिकूलता, मरीजों एवं चिकित्सकों के बीच समय का अभाव, अति गंभीर मरीजों के द्वारा प्रतिदिन भौतिक चिकित्सा केंद्र पर जाकर सेवाएं प्राप्त करने की असमर्थता है, तो दूसरी तरफ रिमोट एरिया में यातायात संबंधी सुविधाओं की प्रतिकूलता, एक मध्यम वर्गीय परिवार को अपने बच्चों के एवं परिवार के प्रति जिम्मेदारियां उन्हें भौतिक चिकित्सा की सेवाएं लेने से वंचित करते हैं। टेलीथेरेपी ऐसे सभी परेशानी को खत्म करती है। डिजिटल डिवाइड, मोड ऑफ एक्सेसिबिलिटी, इसके अन्य बाधक हो रहे हैं, लेकिन भारत सरकार के डिजिटल कैंपेन की मदद से इस तरह की परेशानियों से ही निजात पाई जा रही है। आज के कार्यक्रम में स्वागत के क्रम में मैं सर्वप्रथम चेयरपर्सन डॉक्टर पीपी मोहंती सर, विभागाध्यक्ष भौतिक चिकित्सा विभाग, राष्ट्रीय पुनर्वास प्रशिक्षण एवं अनुसंधान केंद्र एसवी निरतार का हार्दिक वंदन करते हैं। भौतिक चिकित्सा के क्षेत्र में आप किसी परिचय के मोहताज नहीं हैं। आपने अपने जीवन को भौतिक चिकित्सा के विकास, प्रचार एवं प्रसार में लगाया है। आप इस संगोष्ठी में उपस्थित हो रहे हैं और हम लोगों के लिए यह एक गौरव का विषय है। आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत, वंदन एवं अभिनंदन है। स्वागत के क्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हुए मैं तकनीकी संख्या 3 के को चेयरपर्सन डॉक्टर प्रवीण कुमार, उप निर्देशक प्रशासन एवं विभागाध्यक्ष भौतिक चिकित्सा विभाग, राष्ट्रीय गतिशील दिव्यांगजन संस्थान NILD कोलकाता का करते हैं। सर का साथ एवं मार्गदर्शन हमेशा से मिलते रहा है। आपका इस संगोष्ठी में गरिमामय उपस्थिति का अभिनंदन करते हैं। मैम डॉक्टर दर्शप्रीत कौर, मुख्य भौतिक चिकित्सक, बिहार न्यूरो डायग्नोस्टिक सेंटर पटना का स्वागत, वंदन एवं अभिनंदन करते हैं। आप सहायक आचार्य के पद पर इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ हेल्थ एजुकेशन एंड रिसर्च पटना में कार्य किए हैं। आप MSSI मल्टीपल स्क्लेरोसिस सोसाइटी ऑफ इंडिया के सदस्य हैं एवं विभिन्न अंतर्राष्ट्रीय एवं राष्ट्रीय संगोष्ठी में शोध पत्र का प्रेजेंटेशन किए हैं। आज आप की नोट स्पीकर की भूमिका में आमंत्रण पत्र स्वीकार किया है। आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, स्वागत एवं वंदन। स्वागत के क्रम में मैं आज CRC सिक्किम के रेजिडेंट कोऑर्डिनेटर ऑफ दिस डिलीवरिंग टेलीथेरेपी डॉक्टर पंकज कुमार सर, डॉक्टर KM अन्नामलाई सर एवं डॉक्टर सुमन सर एवं सेशन कोऑर्डिनेटर मिस्टर अहसन, कंसल्टेंट श्रवण एवं वाक चिकित्सा विभाग, क्रॉस डिजेबिलिटी शीघ्र हस्तक्षेप केंद्र NIEPVD देहरादून, श्रोतागण, तकनीकी सहायक टीम का भी वंदन एवं अभिनंदन करते हैं, जिनके प्रयास से के बिना आज के कार्यक्रम को आयोजित कर पाना असंभव था। मैं चेयरपर्सन एवं को चेयरपर्सन की अनुमति से आज के कार्यक्रम को शुरुआत करना चाहता हूं एवं डॉक्टर दर्शप्रीत कौर मैम से आग्रह पूर्वक निमंत्रण करता हूं कि वे की नोट एड्रेस ऑन द थीम इफेक्टिवनेस ऑफ टेली फिजियोथेरेपी ऑन मस्कुलोस्केलेटल एंड जेरियाट्रिक केयर के ऊपर अपने अमूल्य वचनों से हम लोगों को अभिसिंचित करें। प्लीज मैम, ओवर टू यू मैम। मैम,
Thank you so much, Dr. Vidya Bhushan, for all the kind words. And I wish everyone a very, very happy World Physiotherapy Day. Indeed, it's a very, very great event for all of us. And there could not be any better opportunity than today that we have, where we are all gathered here. And I have my mentors as my co-chairperson and chairperson for this session, which actually adds to this important day. So the topic is very interesting today, as we're going to talk about the effectiveness of telephysiotherapy in musculoskeletal and geriatric care. So as we know, today is a World Physiotherapy Day, and as WCPT ने हम सबको ये टॉपिक दिया है कि लॉन्ग कोविड एंड रिहैबिलिटेशन। सो कहीं ना कहीं टेलीफिजियोथेरेपी भी इस टॉपिक से बहुत ज़्यादा जुड़ा हुआ है। क्यों? क्योंकि कोविड ने हमें एक चीज़ बता दी है कि जब हमारे आपसी मिलने में, कंसल्टेशंस में कुछ दीवारें मजबूरन खिंच जाती हैं, फिर भी एक सोर्स रहता है जिससे हम अपने पेशेंट के घरों तक पहुंच सकते हैं, जा सकते हैं और अपनी तकनीकें उपलब्ध करवा सकते हैं। एंड इसी को ही हम लोग टेली रिहैबिलिटेशन कहते हैं। अगर if we see the global burden of the diseases, definitely musculoskeletal diseases are 1/5. ये डिसेबलिंग है, जानलेवा नहीं होती हैं, बट काफ़ी हद तक ये डिसेबलिंग होती हैं। एंड एज ए रिहैबिलिटेशन एक्सपर्ट हमारा हमेशा से यही प्रयास रहता है कि हम लोगों की जिंदगी की रोज़मर्रा की चीज़ें करवाने में उनकी सहायता कर सके और उसको आसान बना सके। सो ये आंकड़े हमारे लिए बहुत ही ज़रूरी है कि हम आज डिस्कशन करें कि टेलीफिजियोथेरेपी इन मस्कुलोस्केलेटल डिसऑर्डर्स एंड जीरियाट्रिक कितना बर्डन है संसार में इन सब चीज़ों का। ये बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग लैंडसेट पब्लिक हेल्थ की तरफ से ये एक निकला था फिगर। इसमें अगर आप ध्यान से देखें तो ऑन एन एवरेज 76 years Japanese, उसका हेल्थ बर्डन इज इक्विवेलेंट टू माई बेस लाइन 65 years. And unfortunately in India 60 years जो हेल्थ स्टेटस है वो 65 के हेल्थ स्टेटस के बराबर है। सो ये समथिंग अलार्मिंग चीज है कि डेवलपिंग और डेवलप्ड कंट्री का अंतर एक ग्राफ इस ग्राफ में दिख रहा है कि बहुत छोटी उम्र में एज में हमारा डिजीज बर्डन बढ़ता जा रहा है। और एक चीज जो हमें याद है कि साइज ऑफ ओल्डर पॉपुलेशन समय के साथ बढ़ता ही जाए। सो व्हाट इज टेली हेल्थ? ये एक अम्ब्रेला टर्म है बेसिकली, जिससे कि हम लोग एक हेल्थ केयर प्रोवाइड करना चाह रहे हैं लोगों को, इंफॉर्मेशन के माध्यम से, कम्युनिकेशन के माध्यम से। एंड इनफैक्ट ये जो हमने वेबिनार्स का एक न्यू ट्रेंड ऑनलाइन वेबिनार्स का शुरू किया है, ये भी हम लोग इंफॉर्मेशन का आदान प्रदान कर रहे हैं ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म के माध्यम से। सो वही चीज अगर हम पेशेंट सेक्टर में करेंगे, सो दैट इज प्रोवाइडिंग टेली रिहैबिलिटेशन। बहुत नाम यूज होते हैं, टेली फिजियोथेरेपी, टेली हेल्थ, ई हेल्थ, टेली रिहैबिलिटेशन। बेसिकली एवरीबडी एवरीथिंग कम्स अंडर वन अम्ब्रेला। सो अगर बात करें कि वाकई टेली फिजियोथेरेपी मस्कुलोस्केलेटल और जीरियाट्रिक में कारगर है, तो डेफिनेटली काफ़ी टाइम से हमारे पास रिसर्च आती जा रही है कि ये बहुत ही कारगर होती है ऑस्टियोआर्थराइटिस के केसेस में, या हिप फ्रैक्चर्स में रिहैबिलिटेशन करने में, रिमोट एरियाज में। सो इफ यू सर्च, द डेटा इज फुल ऑफ पॉजिटिविटीज कि वेब बेस्ड एक्सरसाइजेस सिस्टम, दे improve home exercise adherence for people. We have beautiful RCTs, we have systemic reviews, we have lot of data these days जो कहता है कि yes, और खासकर जो लेटेस्ट रिसर्च आई है पैंडमिक को मद्देनजर रखते हुए, कि टेली रिहैबिलिटेशन काफ़ी कारगर है। एंड शायद इसी कारण आज भी हम लोग इकट्ठे हुए हैं इस चीज़ को डिस्कस करने के लिए। एंड वो कुछ लोग कहते हैं कि ये होम फिजियोथेरेपी के बराबर है, एंड समटाइम्स इट्स बेटर टेली रिहैबिलिटेशन। सो इन सब रिसर्च को अगर हम ध्यान से पढ़ें तो टेली फिजियोथेरेपी इज द फ्यूचर अहेड। नाउ द क्वेश्चन अराइजेस, वाकई? बिकॉज अगर हम लोग इस क्षेत्र के हम लोग वी आर एक्सपर्ट्स इन द फील्ड ऑफ रिहैबिलिटेशन, एंड नाउ हम लोग भी शिफ्ट कर रहे हैं अपनी विचारधारा कि येस, लेट्स ट्राई provide this physiotherapy care online without in hand seeing my patient. But क्या वाकई ये सही है? क्यों? क्योंकि टेली फिजियोथेरेपी में एक वर्क फ्लो कैसा चलता है कि हम पेशेंट को रिक्रूट करेंगे एंड देन हम उनको ऑनलाइन डिलीवरी देंगे, एंड वो किस माध्यम से होगी? थ्रू टेली फिजियो सर्विस। उसमें हम लोग इक्विपमेंट सेटअप कर देंगे, हम लोग सेफ्टी एडवाइजेस देंगे, हम लोग एक्सरसाइज डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करेंगे, एंड जब हम रिक्रूटमेंट पैटर्न करेंगे तो उसमें भी हमें काफ़ी सतर्कता नहीं होती है कि कौन सा पेशेंट सूटेबल है, किस पेशेंट ने कंसेंट दिया है, एक्सेट्रा। So this is a general workflow for teleservices. However, there are certain studies which are published which do not favor. Especially telehealth appears to be currently limited in low and low middle income countries. अगर हम इंडिया की बात करें, जैसे कि डॉक्टर विद्या ने अपने इंट्रोडक्शन में भी बोला था कि हमारे जो मिडिल सोशियो इकोनॉमिक ग्रुप के कंट्रीज हैं, स्पेशली जिसमें इंडिया फॉल करता है, उसमें ये चीज़ कितनी कारगर होगी, इस चीज़ पे हमें विचार करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। बिकॉज काफ़ी चीज़ें एडवांसमेंट्स वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड में हो रही हैं जिनको हम बहुत जल्दी अपनाने की कोशिश करते हैं, बट हमें हमारा बैकग्राउंड होमवर्क, जिस कंट्री में हम रहते हैं, एक्सेसिबिलिटी टू वेरियस थिंग्स, उसको भी चेक करना है बिफोर वी गेट इनटू एनी डैमेज। ऐसे ही आता है ग्रुप थेरेपी, वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसेस के थ्रू जीरियाट्रिक पॉपुलेशन में शुरू की थी। So उन्होंने बोला it was not possible to conduct video conference in geriatric population as many were excluded and those who were eligible withdrew after inclusion. Now this is something really important जिसको हमने अपने ध्यान में हमेशा रखना है कि yes, designing a program is very easy, but वो प्रोग्राम जब आप लॉन्च करेंगे टेली फिजियोथेरेपी का, तभी आपको वास्तविकता में पता चलेगा कि हमारे कितने इंडियन पेशेंट्स उसको सही में ले पा रहे हैं या नहीं ले पा रहे हैं। सो चलिए, अभी काफी कंफ्यूजन हो चुका है। एक पल मैंने बोला टेली फिजियो बहुत अच्छा है, एंड ये मेरा नहीं, ये रिसर्च का कहना है, और दूसरी पल मैंने रिसर्च निकाल के दिया जिसमें कह रहे हैं कि नहीं, इसके कुछ लिमिटेशंस हैं। सो लेट्स स्टार्ट सम डिगिंग वर्क मोर। ओके, द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन जो आता है किसी के भी दिमाग में, अगर हम भी पेशेंट है तो आएगा, व्हाट इज द वैलिडिटी एंड रिलायबिलिटी ऑफ टेली फिजियोथेरेपी? ऑब्वियसली जब मैं किसी सेंटर में जाती हूँ, मुझे पता है मेरा फिजियोथेरेपी वो डिग्री होल्डर है, उनका एक्सपीरियंस है, वर्ड ऑफ माउथ है, सेंटर को देख के एक आइडिया लगता है, एक संतुष्टि लगता है कि हाँ, मैं यहाँ पे जाके अपना ट्रीटमेंट करवा सकती हूँ। बट द गुड न्यूज इज, रिसर्च ने अगेन प्रूव किया है, देयर इज अ डायग्नोस्टिक अग्रीमेंट बिटवीन टेली हेल्थ एंड इन पर्सन असेसमेंट फ्रॉम 59.7 to 93.3%, so which is actually a very very good number, and according to clinical management decision that is also about 83.3%. so एक तरफा एक डाउट क्लियर होता है कि it is reliable and it is valid. Now coming to the level of patient satisfaction, of course इसमें क्या है, पेशेंट को हाथ नहीं लगाया, कुछ नहीं किया, सिर्फ हमने अपनी जुबानी या कुछ डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन से पेशेंट को किया. But there has been reports of high level of patient satisfaction and कई लोग कह रहे हैं it is quite cost effective along with cost saving. But again a word of caution, most of these studies have been carried out in the Western world. एथिकल एंड प्रोफेशनल कंसिडरेशन. नाउ ये एक पॉइंट है जो कि फ्रैंकली हमने भी टेली फिजियोथेरेपी का प्रोग्राम लॉन्च किया था इस साल एंड हमें काफ़ी प्रैक्टिकल चीज़ें कर करके ही समझ आई. उसमें इस पॉइंट को मैं बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंस दूंगी जो कि अमेरिकन फिजिकल थेरेपी एसोसिएशन एंड ऑस्ट्रेलियन फिजिकल थेरेपी एसोसिएशन ने भी एम्फेसाइज किया है कि जो टेली हेल्थ है ये एक ऑल्टरनेट तरीका है, पर इसमें हमने काम उसी तरीके से करना है विद इन द स्कोप ऑफ आवर प्रैक्टिस. But the problem is जब पेशेंट हमारे पास आता है, there is a lot of privacy, there is a confidentiality. पेशेंट हमारे साथ एक चेंबर में होता है जिसमें हम खुल के उनसे सवाल पूछ सकते हैं, वो हमें जवाब देते हैं और उस हिसाब से चलता रहता है. कभी कभी हम उनके अटेंडर को भी अंदर ले आते हैं. बट जब ये टेलीथेरेपी पे चीज़ आती है, स्पेशली अगर हमारा पेशेंट गैजेट फ्रेंडली नहीं है, ऑनलाइन फ्रेंडली नहीं है, तो उनको कई बार उन लोगों का सहारा लेना पड़ता है जिनसे शायद वो अपनी बातें शेयर ना करना चाहें या जिनके सामने वो ये काम करना ना चाहें. सो ये एक बहुत बड़ा डिसएडवांटेज है जो कि अक्सर हमें फील होता है इन टेली फिजियोथेरेपी सेशंस में. एंड कई बार हमें स्क्रीन में पेशेंट दिखता है, अटेंडर दिखता है और साइड में कोई और भी लोग हो सकते हैं जो कि बीच बीच में कुछ सलाह, कुछ एक्स्ट्रा सवाल. आई नो हाउ यू कैन इमेजिन हाउ द प्रैक्टिस गोज. तो वो चीज़ें भी बीच बीच में आती हैं. नाउ ये तो बात होगी रिलायबिलिटी, सेटिस्फैक्शन, वैलिडिटी. नाउ सर्टन प्रैक्टिकलिटीज की जब मुझे टेली रिहैबिलिटेशन सर्विस देना है तब मुझे किन किन चीज़ों का ध्यान रखना है. सबसे पहले मुझे पेशेंट फैक्टर्स को अपने दिमाग में हमेशा रखना है कि किस उम्र का पेशेंट है, उनमें क्या मेडिकल कोमॉर्बिडिटीज हैं, मोबिलिटी प्रॉब्लम, लैंग्वेज प्रॉब्लम, विजुअल प्रॉब्लम. सो दैट मीन्स अगर आप इन पर्सन ना करके ऑनलाइन भी जा रहे हैं, एक थरो असेसमेंट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सेकेंड कम्स मोड delivery. Now, this is something one of my favorite modes of delivery because why? अभी कोविड नॉर्म्स थोड़े थोड़े ईज आउट हुए हैं. सो पिछले 1-1.5 साल से हम लोग टेलीथेरेपी सेशंस ही हमारे पेशेंट्स के लिए ले रहे हैं, स्पेशली इन बिहार जो कि बहुत रिमोट एरियाज में रहते हैं. अब उसमें क्या है, हम लोग ये उनसे रिक्वेस्ट करते हैं कि आप कम से कम एक सेशन के लिए आइए, हमें थॉरली असेस करने दीजिए, उसके बाद हम आपको टेली हेल्थ के माध्यम से आगे बढ़ाते जाएंगे. और इसमें हम लोग एक और कंडीशन रखते हैं कि हम आपको जो भी चीज़ें सिखा रहे हैं आप कम से कम रिपीट हमारे पास आएंगे 1 महीने के अंतरकाल के बाद, ताकि हम देख सकें क्या आप वाकई ही ठीक से कर पा रहे हैं कि नहीं. सो द मोड ऑफ डिलीवरी सिलेक्शन इज ऑल्सो वेरी important. And then is your patient's physical location. So again वो खासकर अगर हम कहते हैं टेलीथेरेपी is entirely reliant on the internet services. So अगर हम बोले Tier 1 cities in India बहुत अच्छी internet services है. Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4 बहुत ज़्यादा problems बढ़नी शुरू हो जाती है. Especially आजकल जो monsoons का time है, again we have unstable internet. So that is also one thing which comes in between when we select teletherapy as a service. Then clinician experience and expertise. Definitely ये हमेशा ही एक important चीज़ रहेगी, चाहे हमें in person देना है या टेलीथेरेपी. जब तक हम पर्याप्त रूप से स्किल्ड नहीं है तो उस चीज़ को आगे बढ़ाना बहुत ही मुश्किल हो जाता है. सो ओवरऑल थोड़ा सा अगर हम क्लियर आउट करें हमारे डिगिंग से हमें क्या पता चला. डेफिनेटली टेलीथेरेपी रिड्यूस ट्रैवल टाइम, इसमें गुड कंप्लायंस है, पेशेंट को पता है इतने बजे मेरा सेशन शुरू होगा, जैसे कि ऑनलाइन क्लासेस होती हैं. अगर आप एक बहुत ही स्ट्रिक्ट वाले फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट हैं तो डेफिनेटली आपके पेशेंट्स ऑन टाइम आएंगे. देयर इज एन इंक्रीज, यू कैन इंक्रीज द एक्सरसाइज डोज, जो हम यूजुअली फिट प्रिंसिपल ये सब फॉलो करते हैं, सब कुछ फॉलो हो सकता है. प्रोग्रेशन इज पॉसिबल, गुड यूजर एक्सेप्टेंस है. बट मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट इसमें हमें केसेस हाईली सिलेक्टिव लेने होते हैं. इंटरनेट, इक्विपमेंट अवेलेबिलिटी, अपॉइंटमेंट शेड्यूलिंग थोड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है. इसमें मैन पावर की ज़रूरत है केयर गिवर की साइड में. अगर ज़्यादा लोग नहीं हैं तो उनको इंटरनेट कनेक्ट करवाना, पेशेंट को एक्सरसाइज करवाना जो फिजिकली हम करवा सकते थे, उस चीज़ के लिए थोड़ी दिक्कत आ जाती है. एंड ई कंसल्ट, वीडियो एंड एक्सेस टू ऑल दीज कमर्शियल प्लेटफॉर्म्स, वो भी हमने देखना है कि पेशेंट क्या वो फ्री सॉफ्टवेयर ले पा रहा है या पेड सॉफ्टवेयर ले पा रहा है कि नहीं ले पा रहा. ये सारी चीज़ें हैं. सो शायद इन्हीं चीज़ों के कारण टेलीथेरेपी आज की नहीं है। प्रोबेबली कोविड ने हम लोगों को पुश कर दिया है कि टेलीथेरेपी को जल्द से जल्द अपनाएँ, क्योंकि यही एक रास्ता बचा है। बट ये काफ़ी टाइम से चलती आ रही है, इस पे स्टडीज़ काफ़ी टाइम से हो रही हैं। बट इसको अडॉप्शन में अभी भी रिजर्वेशंस हैं। पहली बात तो क्लिनिशियन एक्सेप्टेंस एक बहुत बड़ा इश्यू आ रहा है। उसके बाद ट्रस्ट एंड एक्सेप्टेंस टुवर्ड्स द टेक्नोलॉजी, वो भी एक इश्यू हमारा आ रहा है। काफ़ी लोगों को ट्रेडिशनल मेथड पसंद है कि जब तक हमें हमारे थेरेपिस्ट ने हाथ नहीं लगाया, जब तक उन्होंने हमारी रेंज नहीं चेक करी, तब तक हमें विश्वास नहीं है कि हमें सही एक्सरसाइज या थेरेपी प्रिस्क्राइब हुई है कि नहीं। एंड पेशेंट पर्सपेक्टिव से भी कंप्यूटर लिटरेसी आई वुड से डेफिनेटली इज अ वेरी वेरी बिग इशू दीज डेज। एंड देन कॉस्ट ऑफ इम्प्लीमेंटिंग टेली हेल्थ सर्विसेज। सो अगर हमें चूज करना है वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिस के लिए कैसा प्लेटफॉर्म लें, सो देर आर फ्यू टिप्स विच आई वुड लाइक टू गिव टू एवरीवन। हमें पहले चेक करना है कि हम क्या करवाना चाह रहे हैं, इज इट फिट फॉर आवर पर्पस, एंड उस प्लेटफॉर्म की यूजिबिलिटी क्या है। यूजिबिलिटी की अगर मैं बात करूँ, आजकल टेलीग्राम ये सब आ गया है। इनफैक्ट Microsoft Teams, I was talking to Dr. Vidya Ameka. Vidya sir, I'm so comfortable with Zoom, but Microsoft Teams makes me nervous, right? So हमें देखना है प्लेटफॉर्म की यूजिबिलिटी एंड ऑल, वो क्या है, एंड क्या ये सर्विस पेशेंट के भी कंट्रोल में है, क्या पेशेंट अपने आप को टाइमली म्यूट अनम्यूट कर पा रहे हैं जब हमारा लाइव कॉन्फ्रेंसेस चल रही हैं, क्या वो अपनी प्रॉब्लम्स बता पा रहे हैं। इंटरनेट एक्सेस की फाइनेंशियल कॉस्ट क्या है, हमारा जियो एंड ऑल 1.5 GB डेटा फ्री में देता है, बट क्या ये हमारी हैवी फाइल्स हैं जो पेशेंट तक जा रही है, उसके लिए उनको अपना सब्सक्रिप्शन चार्ज बढ़ाना है। छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं जिसका हमें ध्यान रखना है। एंड देन इंट्रा ऑपरेटेबिलिटी बिटवीन डिफरेंट ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम्स, किसी के पास एंड्रॉयड है, किसी के पास एप्पल है, किसी के पास क्रोम यूज हो रहा है, फायरफॉक्स, मोजिला, मतलब there are a lot of options, but when we give for teletherapy we have to be very clear in our mind कि इसको यूज करना है, ऐसे करना है और इस तरीके से चलाना है। So in fact end points भी हमें रखने हैं, whether it is one to one interaction या हमारे में काफी सारे लोग हैं जिनको हम ग्रुप थेरेपी दे रहे हैं, एंड उसमें इन बिल्ट फोटो क्लिकिंग और measurement tools, questionnaires, lot of things that needs to be meticulously planned when we talk about telephysiotherapy. So if I conclude this thing, it is that healthcare organizations, we had to rapidly adjust. As I previously said, telephysiotherapy आज की चीज नहीं है, but आज इसकी जरूरत बहुत ज्यादा हम सबको महसूस हो रही है। ये वाइबल है, ये इफेक्टिव ऑल्टरनेट है, एंड इट इज सेट टू ब्रिज द गैप इन हेल्थ केयर एक्सेस। सो डेफिनेटली टेली हेल्थ के माध्यम से, टेली फिजियोथेरेपी के माध्यम से हमारी पेशेंट्स को फिजियोथेरेपी के प्रति एक्सेसिबिलिटी बढ़ जाएगी। एंड एक चीज जो हमें याद रखनी है, इट शुड नॉट बी कंसिडर्ड अ टेम्पररी स्टॉप गैप। अभी का नहीं है, पैंडेमिक खत्म होगा तो हम वापस इन पर्सन में आ जाएंगे, नहीं, हमें कोशिश ये करनी है कि दोनों चीजों को एक हाइब्रिड मोड से हम लोग आगे बढ़ा सकें। This is not the end. Now I want to share Hamara personal experience in our center, Bihar Neuro. Now, this is my center based in Patna, where we have adequate system for rehabilitation, but definitely due to COVID restrictions, we had to limit the number of patients and limit their visits also. So ये एक सैम्पल वीडियो है कि नॉर्मल हम लोग पेशेंट्स को किस प्रकार की एक्सरसाइज करवाते थे। So as you can see, we are Bihar's first Pilates Space Center. तो हमारा हमेशा यही प्रयास रहता था कि पेशेंट को जितना हो सके हम लोग कोर स्ट्रेंथनिंग, स्ट्रेचिंग, इन सब माध्यम से अपने क्लिनिक में उनको पेन रिलीफ करवाएं हैं। ये कुछ पिलाटीज रिंग बेस्ड एक्सरसाइजेस हैं जो अक्सर हम अपने पेशेंट्स को देते हैं. And some wall ladder based exercises. ऑलराइट, सो ये तो हमारा प्रोटोकॉल होता था जब कोविड नहीं आया था, बट कोविड आते ही हमारी चीज़ें बदल गई एंड एज आई मेंशन वी आल्सो हैड टू स्विच टू ऑनलाइन फिजियोथेरेपी क्लासेस. सो दिस इज अ सैम्पल फिजियोथेरेपी एक्सरसाइज व्हिच वी gave to our mobile multiple sclerosis patients. Namaskar. Welcome to our day 2 of week 5. And as all the days, I've been very excited today. Why? Because we are all working on a gym ball. Yes. So gym ball is really fun. It gives you a good amount of rebound also. And at the same time, it challenges your body pretty well. Okay. So now we are in our week 5, day 2. So today what we are going to do, we're going to simply sit on our ball, balance our bodies well, and do our crunches. Yes, we are going to lift our chest up on the ball and come back. So this is our exercise for week 5, day 2. Before moving on, let me challenge you all again with the neurobics question. What were the exercises that we did on week 3? Yes, week 3. You have to tell me all the exercises that we did. Think about it. All right, your time is up. And these are the 3 exercises that we did in our week 3. So those who got it right, fantastic. Those who could not, keep working harder. Okay, so now is the time to preview our exercise for the day. So here's your exercise preview. So now we have seen how we are going to perform this exercise. It's time to do our mental imagery. So close your eyes. Imagine yourself sitting on the ball with a good upright posture, your low back in a neutral spine, and slowly you move forward till the whole of your pelvic area is well supported by the ball. And your knees are in 90 degree bend position. You cross your hands against your chest and slowly you breathe out, lift your chest up forward and then go back on the ball. You breathe out, lift your chest up and go back on the ball. Fantastic. And as I have been always telling you, if you've been able to imagine your exercise well, half of the work is already done. So now is the time to perform our exercise. So in this exercise, we have to perform only one set of 10 repetitions. Okay, so here's your set 1. To do this set, sit comfortably on your ball and slowly move your feet ahead. As you keep moving ahead, pull the ball through your hip till you come at the edge of the ball and your hips are well supported on the ball. Curl back to get the full support in your mid-back and till your scapular region. Now, as you lift up, breathe out. Come up to the level that your elbows touch your thigh region. Breathe out and then go back. Breathe in and then breathe out. The trick in this exercise is to curve your back along the curvature of the ball. Keep doing it for about 10 times. Make sure your shoulder blades are just off the ball and when you sit, the ball touches till your mid-back region. Curl back and then lift yourself up. As you lift yourself up, make sure you are breathing out, contracting your abdominal muscles and contracting your pelvic floor muscles. Once you have done with your repetitions, just push back from your hips. Make sure you straighten your knee, apply good force from your knee, and then slowly walk back. Fantastic. I am so proud of you. How beautifully you have balanced your body on the ball and at the same time lifted your chest up. Simply beautiful. Keep practicing, keep conquering, and keep getting your balance better and better. Namaskar. So this was something that we had to adopt. And why did we adopt telephysiotherapy? Because for our multiple sclerosis patient, as I've been associated with them since 2008, we decided कि इस महामारी के टाइम पे हम उनको ऐसे नहीं छोड़ सकते. डेफिनेटली हमें कुछ ऐसा करना है जो कि उन लोगों को घर पे बैठे भी सहायता कर सके. सो हमने 27 फरवरी को ये प्रोग्राम लॉन्च किया था अंडर द एजेस ऑफ मल्टीपल स्क्लेरोसिस सोसाइटी ऑफ इंडिया मुंबई चैप्टर. एंड 8 मार्च को ये प्रोग्राम शुरू हुआ जो कि ये 6 हफ्तों का प्रोग्राम था. इनरोलमेंट प्रोसेस के लिए यस ऑनलाइन क्लासेस में ये एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण स्टेप होता है एंड इसको बहुत ही केयरफुली डिज़ाइन करना पड़ता है. इसी करके हमने एलिजिबिलिटी क्राइटेरिया रखा. जो लोग चल सकते थे मोबाइल MS पेशेंट्स एंड दोज हु वर इंटरेस्टेड, फर्स्ट देयर कंसेंट वाज आल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. दे कैन कॉन्टैक्ट अस एंड वंस दे कॉन्टैक्टेड अस उनको गूगल फॉर्म दिया गया जिसमें कि कुछ सवाल थे जिसमें हम उनके फिजिकल एंड मेंटल स्टेटस को जानने की कोशिश कर रहे थे. एंड फिर हमने कन्वीनियंट म्यूचुअल टाइम निकाला बिकॉज ये ग्रुप थेरेपी होनी थी. इसी करके हमें सबकी सलाह लेनी पड़ी एंड क्लासेस शुरू हुई. अगर हम लोग मीडियम ऑफ क्लासेस की बात करें, यस सॉरी रिस्पॉन्सेस हमें शुरुआत में 112 रिस्पॉन्स मिले जिसमें कि अधिकतर हमारे रीलैप्सिंग रिमिटिंग MS थे एंड जिसमें कि अधिकतर पेशेंट्स जो हमारे फीमेल्स थी एंड एज कंपेयर टू मेल्स. ओके, सो बेसलाइन असेसमेंट हमने किस प्रकार से की. हमने अगेन गूगल फॉर्म भरने से पहले उनको एक YouTube वीडियो सेंड किया जिसमें सारे इंस्ट्रक्शंस थे कि उनकी मोबिलिटी चेक करने के लिए हमने जो जो टेस्ट लगाए थे, टाइम्ड अप एंड गो टेस्ट, 5 टाइम्स सिट टू स्टैंड टेस्ट, उनके बारे में पूरा एक्सप्लेन किया गया और उनको बताया गया कि आप किस तरह इस फॉर्म को भरेंगे और किस किस तरीके से आप इसको फॉर्म में फाइनल जो आपका रिजल्ट आएगा उसको भरेंगे. ओके एंड देन हमारी जो जैसा मैंने आपको एक सैम्पल वीडियो अभी दिखाया हमारे YouTube चैनल पे बिहार न्यूरो पे हिंदी और इंग्लिश में प्रत्येक सेशन जो कि हफ्ते में हमने 3 सेशंस लिए थे एंड ये हर सेशन को अपलोड किया जाता था एंड रोज़ सुबह हम लोग 5 या 7 बजे के आसपास अपने सेशंस अपलोड करते थे ताकि पेशेंट को जो कन्वीनियंट टाइम हो उस टाइम पे वो लोग ये एक्सरसाइजेस परफॉर्म कर सकें. So this was our e-rehab program and in return पेशेंट्स परफॉर्मेंस चेक करने के लिए हम उनको बोलते थे कि व्हाट्सएप के माध्यम से आप अपना शॉर्ट वीडियो बना के हमें भेजिए कि आपने किस प्रकार वो एक्सरसाइज परफॉर्म किया है. उस वीडियो को फिर हम लोग क्रॉस चेक करते थे. जहाँ जहाँ उनके पोस्चर्स में गलती होती थी, जिस जिस चीज़ में हमें कमी लगती थी हम उन लोगों को गाइड करते थे. वो हमें पुनः वीडियो बना के देते थे एंड फिर हम इस प्रकार से प्रोग्रेस करते जा रहे थे. तो अगर इस प्रोग्राम के मैं सैलेंट फीचर्स की बात करूं, पहली बात ये वन ऑफ इट्स काइंड फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट रिहैबिलिटेशन प्रोग्राम था जिसको पेशेंट ने 6 हफ्तों के लिए फॉलो किया एंड हमने जो सेशन फ्रीक्वेंसी रखी थी दैट वाज मंडे, वेडनेसडेज एंड फ्राइडेज 3 टाइम्स अ वीक. एंड अगर किसी का कोई सेशन मिस हो जाता था तो वो लोग सैटरडे संडे को उसको कवर अप करके हमें वीडियोस देते थे. एंड जैसे कि आपने सैम्पल वीडियो में देखा इसमें फिजिकल एक्सरसाइजेस के साथ साथ हमने कॉग्निटिव रिहैबिलिटेशन के ऊपर भी वर्क किया. उनको थोड़ी न्यूरोबिक एक्सरसाइजेस, मेंटल जिसे कहते हैं एक्सरसाइजेस वो भी उनको दिए थे. एंड अगर हम बात करें 112 जो टोटल रिस्पॉन्सेज आए थे उसमें से अल्टीमेटली हमें 76 एलिजिबल मिले एंड 65 को हमने फर्स्ट बैच में इंक्लूड किया जिसमें से जब सबको मैसेजेस सेंड आउट हुए 42 ने रिवर्ट बैक किया एंड 23 वर नॉन रिस्पॉन्डर्स. आउट ऑफ 42 22 कंटिन्यू टिल द एंड. सो जो चीज़ मैंने पहले बोली थी टेली हेल्थ में एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर होता है पेशेंट कंप्लायंस. सो दिस वॉज वन थिंग दैट वी रियलाइज कि ऑलमोस्ट 50% हैड लेफ्ट द ग्रुप. बट क्या रीज़न था उनका छोड़ने का? inability to buy the equipments. ये एक बहुत important चीज़ होती है, because हम लोग जब भी करवाते हैं टेक्निक तो उसमें कभी कुछ ना कुछ इक्विपमेंट किसी ना किसी स्टेज पे यूज़ होता है, तो काफ़ी पेशेंट्स वो नहीं ले पाए थे, सिंस ये MS पेशेंट थे, कईयों में रिलैप्स आ चुका था, देन जॉब रिलेटेड कमिटमेंट्स ऑल्सो। एंड जैसे कि हम अपने सामने अगर किसी को एक्सरसाइज बॉल पे एक्सरसाइज करवाते हैं, थेरेपी सेशन देते हैं, तो हम पूरा ध्यान रखते हैं कि उनको डिजीनेस फील ना आए एंड पूरा क्रॉस चेक करते हैं, बट ऑनलाइन में डेफिनेटली इस चीज़ों में थोड़ी सी प्रॉब्लम आ जाती है। एंड द सेकेंड वेव वॉज ऑल्सो अराउंड, जिसके कारण हमारे काफ़ी पेशेंट उससे संक्रमित हुए। बट द गुड थिंग वॉज कि ये जो पूरा हम लोगों का एनालिसिस था, इसको हमने प्रेजेंट किया इन द 4th एशिया ओशियानिक इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस, एंड हम यही इसी निर्णय पे पहुंचे कि online virtual classes is definitely, it has the potential to raise the standard of delivery of care। and दूसरी चीज़, इसमें इंटर डिपार्टमेंटल हम लोग अपने एक्सपीरियंसेस शेयर करके उसको और अच्छा और बेहतर बना सकते हैं। बट कुछ चीज़ों का हमें ध्यान रखना है कि ऑन साइट इन पर्सन फिजियोथेरेपी इज इररिप्लेसेबल इन डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज लाइक इंडिया। हमें एफर्ट ज़रूर करना है कि ऑनलाइन को और फ्रेंडली और कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव बना दें, एंड मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट, ऑनलाइन में इक्वल एफर्ट लगता है केयर गिवर्स का भी और पेशेंट का भी। So thank you very much. Thank you for having me. And once again, a very happy World Physiotherapy Day to all of you.
धन्यवाद मैम, आपने बहुत अच्छा लेक्चर दिया, बहुत ही अच्छा हमारे पार्टिसिपेंट को जाएगा मैम। धन्यवाद। के साइड में से टेक्निकल इश्यूज, सो बहुत ही अच्छा आपने लेक्चर प्रेजेंट किया मैम, धन्यवाद करता हूँ मैम। डेफिनेटली हमारे पार्टिसिपेंट्स को बहुत सारा कुछ इससे मिलेगी मैम, और टेलीथेरेपी को कैसे हमें इनहेंस कर सकते हैं फिजियोथेरेपी के रोल में, उसको भी प्रमोट करेंगे। धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सो मच।
इसी क्रम में मैम आगे में चलता हुआ मैम चेयरपर्सन से रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ मुझे परमिशन सर कि हम टेक्निकल सेशन स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं। मुझे परमिशन सर।
टेक्निकल सेशन।
धन्यवाद सर। इसी क्रम में हम आगे चलते हुए तो हमारे टेक्निकल सेशन प्रेजेंटर को मैं कॉल करना चाहूँगा, मिस नेहा परेश कुमार पटेल, प्लीज।
Very good afternoon to one and all the present to here. Myself is Neha Patel. Today I am present to my research paper. The title is the comparison of the dual manual and dual cognitive tasking among follower and non-follower elderly. Introduction. Elderly is defined as the chronological age of the 65 years old or older between 2015 and 2050. The proportion of the world's population over 16 years will nearly double from the 12 to 22%. Normal aging produces a global effect on the cognition, so that the impairment observed when performing tasks related to the other cognitive domains is better explained by this slowness rather than by a real malfunction in these other domains. The symptoms of the cognitive decline that are associated with the aging include slower inductive reasoning, slower problem solving, diminished spatial orientation, declines in the perceptual speed, decreased numeric ability, losses in the verbal memory, few changes in the verbal ability. Functional activities such as walking remain critical in the elderly population because of the loss of the mobility and muscle strength, which may increase the risk of the fall. Fall is an unintentional loss of the balance that leads to the failure of the postural stability or sudden and unexpected change in the position, which usually result in the landing on the floor. Fall among the older adults are serious social concern, mainly because the falls are strongly associated with the loss of the independent institutionalization and mortality. Fallers are defined as the elderly people who have experienced at least one fall during the previous 1 year. However, in alternative studies, these criteria range from falls in the 4 months to one fall in 5 years. People need to do different things like speaking to other people, walking or carrying something when they are performing their daily life activities. In this way, a major interaction occurs between the motor and cognitive systems. Dual tasking represents the mutual communications between the motor and cognitive function. Dual tasking is defined as the concurrent performance of the two tasks that can be performed independently, measured separately, and have distinct goals. Two different types of the task, a cognitive task and manual task, have been used as an additional attention demanding task in research on dual task gait. More complex tasks can be used for fall prediction in population with a relative high level of functioning. Studies found important roles of the attention shifting and walking speed in the dual task gait performance. Purpose of study: to compare the single, dual manual and dual cognitive tasking of elderly individuals with and without history of fall. Methodology. The study was conducted at the physiotherapy department at the SPB College of Physiotherapy, geriatric department at SPP Hospital, and housing societies of Ahmedabad, Gujarat, India. Study design is the observational analytical study. Some sampling technique is a purposive sampling. Sample size is 18 per group in a 14. Inclusion criteria. Group A, follower geriatric individuals in males and females, age 65 years or greater than 65 years. Fall history within 1 year, must have fallen at least one time in the last 1 year. Group B, non-follower geriatric individuals, males and females, age 65 years or greater than 65, no history of fall within the last 1 year. Exclusion criteria. Severe musculoskeletal disorder, OA, RA, and low back pain. Neurological disorder, stroke, Parkinson, MS, etc. Severe cardiovascular or pulmonary disease, COPD, asthma, pneumonia, pulmonary TB. Recent traumatic condition, any type of recent surgery last 3 months. Dementia, depression, etc. Any assistive device used, cane, crutch, walker, etc. Malignancies. Procedure. Study was approved by the Institutional Review Board. Geriatric individuals were explained about this study. Those willing to participate and fulfilling inclusion criteria were included in the study, divided into 2 groups. Geriatric individual with fall history, group A, that is followers, and non-followers, that is group B. Written informed consent was taken and assessment was done. Data was analyzed. Each geriatric individual performed TUG single take, TUG manual, and TUG cognitive test to assess the mobility. Each subject was given the appropriate rest between all the tests. Outcome measure. TUG single test. Participant was asked to get up from on a chair, walk 3 meters as quickly as possible. TUG single test. Participant was asked to get up from on chair, walk 3 meters as quickly as possible without running, turn around, walk back to the chair, sit on chair. TUG time taken to complete this task in seconds was measured with stopwatch. Participants wore their regular footwear. TUG manual test. Participants was asked to complete the TUG test while carrying a cup of water with a surface of water 3 cm from the top edge of the cup. TUG cognitive test. Participant was asked to count backward in the threes from the 100 or start the point while to start it. Statistical analysis. The single, dual, manual, dual cognitive tasking was measured as a time in second in group A and group B. Data was not normally distributed, so non-parametric Mann-Whitney test was used for comparison. TUG single test, TUG manual test, and TUG cognitive test between the group A and group B. Level of significance was kept at 5%. Results. This graph shows the age distribution in group A and group B. In group A, 69.78 plus or minus 5.334 in years. In group B, in age, 69.35 plus or minus 4.16 in years. This graph 2 shows in the gender distribution in the group A, male was 47% and group B is in a female is a 53%, whereas a group B, female was a 15% and male was a 85%. This table shows the mean and SD in the TUG single test, TUG manual, and TUG cognitive test. The TUG single test group A, 11.182 plus or minus 4.15 in seconds. Group B, 9.44 plus or minus 2.11. P-value is 0.003, that is significant. TUG manual test, group A, 4.57 plus or minus 5.05. Group B, 11.26 plus or minus 2.66. P-value is 0.001. This is also significant. TUG cognitive test, 15.12 plus or minus 4.98. Group B, 11.53 plus or minus 2.62. P-value is 0.00, that is highly significant. TUG cognitive test. Discussion. In present studies, statistical significant difference found in the time taken to complete TUG test in the followers and non-followers in elderly. Lishaun et al. Found that the TUG test times were slower in the followers compared to non-followers in the study of the higher functioning and lower functioning people living independently, and slower in the followers compared to non-followers in institutional settings. Changes in the balance and mobility and muscle strength are associated with aging and interfere with the performance of the activities of daily living. Functional capacity, functional activities such as walking remain critical in the elderly population because of loss of mobility and the muscle strength, which may be increase the risk of falls. Jing-Chul Kim et al. Found TUG tests did not show significant difference between followers and non-followers or significant association among followers. Maybe could be possible, sir, because there was unequal distributions of the followers and non-followers in their study with less number of followers, whereas in the present study there was equal number of the both followers and non-followers, and so difference was seen. In the present study, statistical significant difference was found in the time taken to complete TUG manual and TUG cognitive tests in followers and non-followers in geriatric population. Juliana Horta and Saiti et al. Found followers took significantly more time and steps on the both TUG manual and TUG cognitive tests between groups. Ian Smith et al. Found significant difference between TUG single take manual and TUG cognitive tests excited for all the variables except for the time in double support. When two tasks are performed simultaneously, the attention capacity is used in efficient manner and is shared according to the difficulty levels of the task. The decrease in the concentration and attention that allocated for the cognitive additional task to attack the balance in the negative way. Dual tasking situations and especially are commonly in the everyday life. Pablo Thomas Karras et al. They found the number of the fall was significantly associated with mean single dual task performance, mean cognitive errors and mean cognitive stops and mean motor stop. They concluded that dual tasking including cognitive stop and cognitive errors may be a more capable to single task test and accurately higher than classify followers and non-followers in the elderly. Limitation in my study, the PPL assessment was not taken to about the medical conditions. Fear of fall was not assessed. All subjects declared falling in different situations. Some falls were caused by balance problems, while others was uncontrollable due to the environmental factors. Clinical implication for clinical practice, single and dual tasking should be assessed in older people with or without fall history so that the subject at risk of fall can be identified. Also, the appropriate strategy can be studied for the intervention to improve the balance, improve the function during dual tasking, thus improving the quality of life in the elderly population. Conclusion, there is a difference in the time taken to complete the single and dual manual and dual cognitive tasking in followers and non-followers elderly. Therefore, a single and dual tasking should be assessed in geriatrics with or without fall history so that appropriate strategy can be used during the intervention. This is my references. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Neha. It's a great presentation. Sir, chairperson, any questions, sir? हमारे presenter से आपको कोई question है, sir?
कोई प्रतिभागी अगर कोई सवाल पूछना चाहते हैं, शायद किसी प्रतिभागी का सवाल कुछ नहीं है.
Topic for my presentation is telerehabilitation in pediatric physiotherapy, a scoping review. Myself, Dr. Tejas Porkar. I am Associate Professor at Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam College of Physiotherapy, Pravara Institute of Medical Sciences. Now, to begin with, I want to discuss about COVID, as COVID-19 has become a widespread emergency and it has caused many more tolls on the healthcare. And for that, many countries have taken various methods to cope with it, and lockdowns were implemented. And during this pandemic, not only the COVID-related patients, but the rest other patients, non-COVID patients were affected because they had problems in the healthcare delivery, whether to access the healthcare delivery, how they have to reach to the hospital, whether they will be getting attention or not. So that is how the pandemic has affected other non-COVID patients as well. And due to that, patients' visits for the regular care have been decreased for mobility as well as the maintenance of the functions. And lack of activity causes reduced mobility functions as well as it increases the dependency of the patients. Now, when we are discussing about rehabilitation, the communication is the key element to see. And when we are saying to communicate, then it can be done with the verbal, non-verbal cues, etc. When we are in the offline or the physical mode, that time what is happening is we are able to give those certain verbal, non-verbal cues. And when we are talking about offline, online mode, then there has been increased uses of smartphones, variety of applications, virtual games, etc. So these methods can be used as a telerehabilitation method to proceed with the therapy. So similar mode of delivery services will be easy to access in this pandemic situations. Now, the telerehabilitation is new form of care which is reaching to the patients at their home when they are not able. Now, sir, I have changed my slide, sir.
आपकी second slide show हो रही है.
Sir, I have to share again maybe. Now, sir, because when I'm going into presentation mode, it is not getting visible. Only first slide is seen. And from
Yes,
me,
sir.
it is fourth
Yes.
one, sir.
Yes, sir, is visible.
This is okay, sir?
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Continue.
Shall I continue? Okay.
Yes,
So what we were discussing was about the communication, and this communication with the tele-rehabilitation can be done with the help of smartphones, various applications, or variety of virtual games. Now, tele-rehabilitation, as everybody is aware, this is we are reaching directly to the patient's home when the in-person visits are not possible. And this COVID era, what is happening is few of the patients are able to visit the OPDs for rehabilitation purpose, as they are at increased risk of catching the hospital infections as well as the COVID. Now, this tele-rehabilitation builds communication between therapists, and when we are talking about pediatric rehabilitation, children are the integral part. So, planning and providing services to these children, the communication is very much essential, and to engage them is very important. So, various forms like telephonic measures or video calls or virtual meetings can be held to deliver these services, and these are proven to be effective in order to reach to the remote locations. This is upcoming field and increasing importance in the medical and related fields due to this pandemic, and it can be tailored to the primary care to the specialty care. That means we can go for the general routine exercises as well as the specific exercises in cases of children with the assessment as well as with the management part. Virtual variety platforms and gaming also can create awareness amongst the parents, as well as it can boost the confidence of parents as well as children, in also improving the cognitive skills and increasing the participation. Now, in this study, my aim was to summarize tele-rehabilitation in pediatric physiotherapy. Various databases and research engines were searched like PubMed, Science Direct, ResearchGate, Google Scholar. Full text articles, reviews, retrospective, prospective studies with tele-rehabilitation were included. Only abstract, case reports, duplicate articles were excluded. Now, for the search strategy was, I had searched for the articles from the recent 5 years, and various databases like PubMed, Science Direct, ResearchGate, Google Scholar were assessed, and they were searched and on the basis, as I mentioned earlier, mentioning the words of tele-rehabilitation, teletherapy, pediatrics, as well as physiotherapy. Outcome was total 6 articles were selected, out of which the articles which were not including the pediatric rehabilitation were excluded. Hence, at the end, 3 articles were assessed via scoping review. Now, when we are discussing result, these are the articles which I had discussed here. First one being Pahwa et al. In 2018, role of telephysiotherapy for cerebral palsy children in school settings. They had reviewed 46 articles, out of which they were from the period between 2010 to 2017, and they had ultimately selected 34 articles, including from PubMed as well as 12 from the Petro. They have included children with CP, with tele-rehabilitation, motor skills, as well as results of the motor learning. And in this article, they have concluded that teletherapy through virtual reality or robotics or other methods of telerehabilitation can promote meaningful functional outcome in motor skills in the educational setting, especially in the schools as well, for the cerebral palsy children. The second article in the review was by Kannipan Vasivalan from the 2020 e-pediatric rehabilitation, a boon to parents and children with cerebral palsy in COVID-19 era. This article was a descriptive article which explored various methods, various benefits of e-rehabilitation in pediatric neurorehabilitation. And they have concluded that cerebral palsy children, they are known to have fewer physical movements or improper interaction. And to help them with this, if with proper guidance involving parents and in therapeutic program, if we are using this rehabilitation methods, it will be beneficial for them, and it will be age appropriate. Methods are also available to indulge them into the therapy and into exercises, which in turn boost their confidence. Also, they have noted that exercising with the parental help improves child's attention, cognitive skills, as well as provides auditory, visual inputs, etc. So if they have concluded that if we are using telerehabilitation therapy with parent support, it is more beneficial. The third article in the review was Pardeep Pahwa et al. In 2021, where their aim was to develop the content and structure if iTelePT for the treatment and monitoring physical impairments for the children with CP. So it was a qualitative study which included the focus group discussions with the caregivers and special educators. Same special educators were included in the focus group discussions and were recorded and then analyzed. One was the offline and the online interview. And in that, they have concluded that the common positive points were practice of handling CP children, provision of related services, as well as relatively less knowledge for the teleservices is seen. But they were enthusiastic to learn and they were curious to learn about the content validation to reduce impairments in the school settings involving the new model which is developed for the novel technological model in the all-inclusive normal education setup. So these were the three articles which are reviewed. From this, I want to discuss that telerehabilitation is an emerging field and it has a vast scope. Potential for teletherapy is based on various mobile technologies, including smartphones, different games, various applications, etc. They also help to gain psychosocial function, which is very essential if we are seeing a pediatric rehabilitation perspective, because the parents and children are under a lot of stress because it is a life-changing problem for them. Children with psychopathy, as they have limited ability, lack of physical activity, may have access to their health if they are not doing proper exercises day to day. So telerehabilitation can increase the accessibility and it also reduces the cost of treatment as it is an online session. Definitely the in-person services per capita is reduced. So that is also helpful for us. Telerehabilitation again builds and improves communication between therapist and children. So it is a good way to interact with the children and they are engaged and they will be very responsive to that also because they have a lot of attention towards smartphones and applications. It also provides accessibility to research and also essential for the educational purpose, as one of the article has mentioned about the normal education or the education for all. So in that, if the child with CP is attending that school, the rest of the therapy can be done with the combined mode of the online way, like occupational therapy, speech therapy, few session can be combined with the normal education on the online mode. This also engages child in a meaningful activity rather than just watching certain videos. The child will be engaged into the particular games or the particular applications which are going to improve their either cognitive skills or motor. And the telerehabilitation improves awareness of the parents as well because they will be interacting with the children along with the child. They will be involving in the therapy, so their interaction will be improved. Cognitive skill will be enhanced for the children. Also, it is going to be cost effective and it can reach to the remote area. So these are the advantages of telerehabilitation, but there are certain concerns regarding confidentiality, privacy, or there may be certain fraud, quackery may pose challenges to telephysiotherapy. Also, there may be excessive dependency also can occur. And other than that, inclusion of the telerehabilitation in school-based intervention by special educators under guidance may prove helpful. So with proper resources, it can be helpful for creating, maintaining functional mobility as well as psychological issues. So to conclude this, I want to say that the scoping review concludes that telerehabilitation has proven to be effective method to treat pediatric patients. It gives access to remote places. It increases feasibility, cost effectiveness, but certain drawbacks are there for the confidentiality, privacy, and technical errors. By adapting new models and encouraging participation, it can be used as an adjunct to regular physiotherapy even in the school setups. there were certain limitations and recommendations from my side that very few articles were reviewed and more number of articles can be reviewed further and a systematic review can be done ahead. Clinically, if we want to imply this, then telerehabilitation in pediatric population can be explored further for clinical research purpose as well, and it can be added as an adjunct to the routine physiotherapy to gain access to the patient's progress and monitoring for the follow-up. Future scope, as I said, large review can be conducted in telerehabilitation in pediatric physiotherapy, and prospective research can be done in future to understand specific protocols and methods to design those protocols. These are my references.
Dr.
Any
Tejas has wonderfully presented the paper. Although in present scenario we do not have much data, much documentation related to the telerehabilitation, but still she has
Yes.
tried to find out the documentation, and out of them tried to present the outcomes, and she has given well. Thank you, Dr. Tejas.
Thank you, sir. Actually, that was the reason I went for scoping review, sir, as the literature was very less, sir.
So next presenter को बुलाना चाहूंगा मैं डॉक्टर वरुण आहूजा. इसका टाइटल है इफेक्टिवनेस ऑफ टेलीफिजियोथेरेपी कंसल्टेशन इन मस्कुलोस्केलेटल कंडीशन द सिस्टमैटिक रिव्यू. Please present your paper.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, a very happy physiotherapy day. Sir, please confirm if my presentation is visible.
Yes, visible presentation. Please continue.
Yeah, good afternoon, one and all. I am Varun Ahuja from Dr. M.V. Shetty College of Physiotherapy. I am present here as a paper presenter on the topic Effectiveness of Telephysiotherapeutic Consultations in Musculoskeletal Conditions, a Systematic Review. So first of all, introduction. The term telerehabilitation can be defined as the use of internet or telecommunication devices in order to provide physical, occupational, or speech therapy to patients in their home. As we know, since past 2 years, as COVID era hit the world, we have seen a gradual progress in rehabilitation studies and technological development. Advancement in these technologies have given birth to a whole new science of rehabilitation called as telerehabilitation. Although the term telerehabilitation is known for decades, but it came to spotlight in this era. Need of the study. As we know, COVID-19 pandemic has impacted all aspects of healthcare delivery. So there was a very important need to switch our rehabilitation strategies. In order to protect healthcare workers as well as patients across the country from the risk of disease transmission, we adapted telerehabilitation or telephysiotherapy or telehealth. Now, the need of the study is, as we know, telerehabilitation is different from conventional treatment. It is very important to determine its validity, reliability, and patient satisfaction with this new method. So the aim and objective of my study is to determine the effectiveness of telerehab strategies as an adjunct to conventional rehab treatment in patients with musculoskeletal disorders. Methodology. A comprehensive systemic review of literature was conducted using 3 electronic databases, Google Scholar, PubMed, and ScienceDirect. Articles published between 2007 and 2021 were taken. The studies examined the validity, reliability, patients' feedback, and satisfaction of telerehab-based physiotherapy assessment and treatment. Keywords used were telephysiotherapy, telerehab, musculoskeletal physiotherapy, telecommunication, and disorders. 13 duplicate records were removed. After that, 53 articles were taken for screening. 22 of them were excluded on the basis that they were having studies with telerehab strategies for conditions other than musculoskeletal. After that, 31 articles were left and 13 were again excluded because this systematic review is based on telerehab strategies for musculoskeletal condition, not due to COVID-19. So those studies which are having musculoskeletal conditions like myalgia due to COVID-19, they were again excluded and 18 articles were taken for the study. Inclusion criteria: selected articles in English language, adult population with musculoskeletal disorders. Intervention: therapists should use telephysiotherapy as a tool of rehab. Outcome measure: effect of telephysiotherapy intervention on musculoskeletal disorders. Exclusion criteria, as I previously mentioned, musculoskeletal disorder due to COVID-19 and all other form of intervention or rehab except musculoskeletal disorders. So these are all the articles which I have reviewed. Number 1, Edisola C. Odele. He did an RCT in December 2013 to check the effect of telephone-based physiotherapy intervention for OA patients versus clinical setup. He found that tele-rehab was almost as significant as conventional treatment. Lace Tele in November 2020 conducted a study to evaluate the validity, reliability of a tele-rehab system, and she found that there was moderate validity, 59.72%, but strong reliability was achieved. Inter-rater reliability was 73.08%, whereas intra-rater reliability was 100%. Then Pratiksha Dige in Jan 2020, she conducted an RCT and she investigated the effect of 4-week telephysiotherapy program on quality of life of patients with OA of knee. And she found that there was no difference between the outcome measure indicating comparable improvement in both the groups. But she focused that there was statistically significant improvement in balance and proprioception in telephysiotherapy group. Neslihan Durotur in December 2019 did a study to determine the effects of tele-rehab in patients with diabetes mellitus type 2. I have chosen this study because they have taken the musculoskeletal factor, and he concluded that patient may save time and treatment cost, and TR intervention proved to be safe and effective. Then R.D. Kaya Binar et al. In September 2020 research to investigate the effects of preventive tele-rehab application for musculoskeletal disorder. He concluded that tele-rehab method will be beneficial to those who do not have access to conventional physiotherapy or face-to-face physiotherapy. M.S. Sibello in December 2020 conducted a study to evaluate the effectiveness of therapeutic physical exercise program under a supervision of physiotherapists via tele-rehab means. He concluded that TPE program was effective in reducing pain and improving functional status in patients with patellofemoral pain syndrome. Then Dhalia Khairi et al. Did a study. She did a study to determine 6 outcome measures. Number 1, access to therapeutic services with decreased transportation. Second, developing a patient-therapist relationship, maintaining a sense of personal space. Third, complementing tele-rehab with face-to-face therapy. Fourth, providing standard exercise protocol. Fifth, easy use of tele-rehab instrument. And sixth, feeling of an ongoing sense of support for patient. And she had remarkable result. No patient regarded telephysiotherapy as a barrier to quality physiotherapy services, whereas 3 participants expressed a preference of combining tele-rehab with traditional physiotherapy services. Then Edisola C. Odele did another study to investigate the effect of 6-week telephysiotherapy program on quality of life of patients with OA of knee. He found that there was significant improvement in physical and psychological domains of quality of life. Then Michelle Tozignant conducted a study to measure the satisfaction of patients as well as health workers during tele-rehab. She found that both groups were satisfied with the services. Moreover, the physiotherapist satisfaction with regard to goal achievement and other forms was higher in tele-rehab platform. Julia Miller in July 2009 conducted a study to compare the effectiveness of videotape with face-to-face consultation. She found that videotape instruction proved popular and appeared to help motivate patients to continue self-treatment, but produced no detectable saving in physiotherapist time in consultation. She also found that there was less progression in tele-PT means as compared to conventional. Then Bradley R. Richardson in March 2016 conducted a study to evaluate the accuracy and reliability of an online musculoskeletal physiotherapy assessment of knee complex. He found that 67% validity were present in exact agreement, whereas in similar agreement 89% validity was found and reliability was 94%. Ji Hui Neo in December 2019 conducted a study to investigate the feasibility of adopting tele-rehab in treating frozen shoulder. He found that tele-rehab is feasible in treating frozen shoulder. Helen Moffat conducted a study to compare satisfaction level of patients following in-home tele-rehab. She found that characteristic of all participants were similar at baseline, and satisfaction level of both groups did not differ and was very high. Then Trevor G. Russell conducted a study to determine the criteria, validity and reliability of conducting a remote musculoskeletal assessment of the ankle joint complex via tele-rehab technology. A similar agreement of 93.3% in pathoanatomic diagnosis, whereas exact agreement of 80% was found. Then Trevor Russell in June 2010 conducted a study to establish criteria validity of tele-rehab, he found that 79% or higher primary diagnosis agreement in similar case and 79% in exact agreement. Then Kamran Asma did an RCT to compare the efficacy of tele-rehab compared with office-based physiotherapy in patients with knee or osteoarthritis, and he found that there was no significant difference between tele-rehab and office-based physiotherapy in any of the scales that he studied. Stacey Algrona did a systematic review to determine the validity and reliability of video conferencing, and she found that validity and reliability studies were identified as having high risk of bias. Intervention studies were of moderate quality, and 2 studies evaluated cost with evidence of cost saving in 1 study. Suresh Mani et al. Did a study in March 2016 to examine validity, inter and intra-rater reliability of telephysiotherapy assessment. And the physiotherapy assessments such as pain, swelling, range of motion, muscle strength, balance, gait, and functional assessment demonstrated good validity. However, lumbar spine posture, special orthopedic test, neurodynamic test, and scar assessment range from low to moderate. So here is, I have concluded everything here. There were 5 researches conducted to determine validity. 3 of them shows good results, high quality researches were there. And 1 study shows that tele-rehab was having moderate validity, and 1 study by Suresh Mani shows that it is of low quality, and validity in tele-rehab is less than 50%. Then for reliability, 4 researches were done, and 4 of them showed great results, indicating high quality reliability in tele-rehab. Then coming on to patient's feedback, 6 researchers were there which presented patient feedback. 4 researchers presented good feedback, and 2 researchers showed that there were similar improvement as compared with conventional physiotherapy. Then 7 researchers were taken for physiotherapy assessment. Out of them, 5 showed good results in favor of tele-rehab. 1 showed that there was no significant difference between tele-rehab and conventional physiotherapy. And 1 research showed that videotape offered less clinical progress as compared to conventional tele-rehab. Coming on to discussion, a total of rehab-based 18 researches were taken into study related to tele-rehab and musculoskeletal disorder. Out of 18, 15 presented with increased acceptance and better results for telephysiotherapy. Pratiksha Dige found increased balance and proprioception in tele-rehab group. Michelle Tozignan stated that therapist satisfaction was also found to be higher in tele-rehab intervention, which is a good advantage of tele-rehab strategies. However, Julia Millier in her study stated that tele-rehab was not a time saver for therapists. For validity was found to be conflicting, as some researchers suggested good validity, but some suggested low to moderate validity. However, when it comes to reliability, both intra-rater and inter-rater reliability was found to be high. Stacey Algrona in her study highlighted that there might be a high risk of bias in validity and reliability studies. Most studies show tele-rehab to be safe and effective. However, 3 studies portrayed certain limitations in assessment of lumbar spine posture, orthopedic special test, neurodynamics test, and scar assessment. Decreased need of transportation and reduced costs lead to improved access to services for larger populations, especially remote areas. Eddie Kayabinar also stated that tele-rehab is valuable for people having limited to no access to face-to-face physiotherapy. Coming on to conclusion, as we know, in the last 2 years, we have seen a substantial increase in our capacity to deliver physiotherapy services at a distance using tele-rehab. But at the same time, it has occurred that hands-on physiotherapy technique have become less important for some health condition. This is one of the limitations of the study also. Actually, researchers for complex condition which requires manual therapy or hands-on physiotherapy technique were not taken, were not studied, and that's why the results are like this. Various researchers have shown that the impact of good exercise therapy regime has similar effect as a clinical session in an OPD. And tele-rehab has also decreased the use of electrotherapy for routine treatment, whereas exercise therapy has seen an important component of care. Majority of articles depicted that tele-rehab might be the future of rehab, but in country like India, providing quality services in rural areas where there is less access of internet connections, presence of smart gadgets for this tele-rehab services, and the knowledge to access and use these smart gadgets are less. So in India, providing quality services in rural area is still a bigger challenge. These are my references, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Varun ji, आपका presentation के लिए. Any questions, sir? Any questions, sir? Chairpersons, Dr. PP sir and Ween sir. Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Please, sir.
Mr. Barun, one of your exclusion criteria was tele-rehab during this COVID pandemic. What are the reason why you excluded?
Sir, those patients who have already gone through the COVID-19, we are providing tele-rehab services for them, including the musculoskeletal factor. But my study wants to determine that population which is not affected by COVID-19 but still has musculoskeletal disorders. As we know, 1/5 of musculoskeletal disorder account for 1/5 of world's total years lived with disability. So there was a very important need to target those population and to check how much satisfied those people are. So that's why I've excluded all the researches which have included patients with musculoskeletal problems post COVID-19. I've excluded those studies. I've just took those studies into this systematic review who are suffering from musculoskeletal conditions without any impact of COVID-19, but have given tele-rehab as a rehab strategy.
Sir, any other questions, sir? Okay, sir. Thank you your answer. Please continue बनाना चाहता हूँ session. Please now take over to please Vidya Bhushan ji. Please session को continue कीजिए. Mr. Vidya Bhushan sir.
Also, now I am requesting to co-chairperson Dr. Praveen Kumar sir to please put up the conclusion remarks on this scientific presentation. Sir, please.
Thank you, Vidya Bhushan, and thank you, Ehsan. Respected Sir PP Mohanty sir, आज के जो हमारे keynote speaker Dr. Jaspreet Kaur and all the three participants, they have presented very well. Particularly, I would like to say Dr. Jaspreet Kaur, she has explained very beautifully and in a very simple language. And hope so everybody must have got an idea what we have to do, what all the limitations are there of tele-rehabilitation, as well as what kind of the patient they can select and how can we proceed from day-to-day basis in different way, and what all the different constants are there in daily life, because all kind of patient cannot be selected for the tele-rehabilitation. So she has explained well, and everybody must have benefited from her presentation. And all the I would like to congratulate all the three presenters, and they have in a present scenario they have done a wonderful study on tele-rehabilitation, and hope so these initiative will help in future further physiotherapy rehabilitation part, which can be implemented through tele-rehab part, and they can come up, because in India still we are lacking with the tele-rehabilitation. Very few places still tele-rehabilitations are going on, and very less documentation is there from Indian side, Indian point of view, because our populations are not that much educated. They are not software friendly that they can continue with the tele-rehab. So, but with the time, with the professional who have joined, all the participants, they must be getting benefit from these studies what they have presented, and they will try in their clinical setup to implement the same thing, because still we are expecting a third wave of COVID will come, and it will limit our patient inflow in their clinics. We have to protect ourselves, we have to protect the patient as well. So regarding that, we have to find out some alternative like a tele-rehabilitation or a blended sort of way where offline and online both can be included in the rehabilitation part. So hope so this whole session, I would like to congratulate the whole team who has organized on a theme of tele-rehabilitation will help everyone in future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your concluding remarks. And now I am requesting to Dr. P.P. Mohanty, sir, to please give concluding remarks on this scientific session. Sir, please.
Thank you, Vidya Bhushan. The concept was very good. This tele-rehab, during this COVID pandemic, tele-rehab is the alternative to, direct access to physiotherapy. At the outset, the keynote address was very good, excellent. I must thank Madam for this nice presentation and those 3 presentations. Scientific papers are also good. And what I feel regarding tele-rehab is, physiotherapy work, deal with the musculoskeletal problem, particularly this orthopedic medical condition. Physiotherapy work more effectively, where physiotherapy should be able to diagnose the condition. Our diagnosis is different from the medical diagnosis, and based on our physical diagnosis, we plan out the treatment and execute the treatment also. Say a patient with low back pain report to orthopedic surgeon, irrespective of the cause, their treatment is almost same, whether it is PIBD, whether it is spondylosis, whether it is listhesis, whether it is any non-specific low back pain, the treatment is almost same. So those kind of condition, for those physician, it can be better managed by this tele-rehab. But for a physiotherapy point of view, you need to physically evaluate the patient. Maybe 2 patients with PIBD, your MRI shows 2 PIBD, but clinically, physiotherapeutically, as you assess, the problem will be different. Physical diagnosis will be different. One may be, fitting to your McKenzie concept of derangement syndrome. Other may be fitting to Cyriax concept of soft tissue subduct lesion, and the third condition may be fitting to both the Cyriax as well as McKenzie, diagnosis protocol, and the fourth may not be fitting to any of these criteria. So that the treatment planning is definitely going to be different. Though the medical diagnosis is PIBD, but physiotherapeutic diagnosis, your physical diagnosis is different, and your management has to be different. So in that condition, giving tele-rehab, particularly this musculoskeletal condition, is not that reliable, I'll say. First of all, if the patient comes to us, at least once we physically evaluate the patient, we diagnose, you teach him the exercise program, we can ask the patient to take the videograph of this exercise program, and later on we can monitor through this video or WhatsApp call. Then that is definitely going to be useful. And to diagnose on this virtual mode, one should be without physical evaluation, one should be very expert enough. Just by seeing the patient, one should be able to diagnose. One should have adequate experience. Then only we can evaluate and diagnose the patient even by the virtual mode, and you can monitor and you can guide the patient by the virtual mode for the effective result. And when it comes to any the other condition like maybe osteoarthritis, maybe case of periarthritis, it may be effective because they almost present the similar clinical feature. Osteoarthritis patient with knee flexion deformity, genu varum, wasting of this vastus medialis, there will be limitation of the movement, almost similar feature of the patient. Many times we see patient finding difficulty to lift the shoulder. They are often diagnosed as periarthritis, but on examination we find it may be rupture rotator cuff, it may be a simple monoparesis or something like that, right? Neurological problems, right? Or that kind of patient, again by virtual mode, unless you diagnose it properly, your tele-rehab in those musculoskeletal conditions is going to be a failure. And in pediatric condition like the cerebral palsy children, yes, we have made in our institute, we have made a group, and through our postgraduate student, we monitor them through tele-rehab. Yes, we got very good result. And in neuro, particularly spinal cord injury, patient themselves has created a group. We have got a group of sports, you know, the spinal cord injury, those who are involved in sports activity, they themselves has created a, you know, those are chronic patient, of course. They have created their group, we monitor them, and various educative virtual mode, you know, course we conduct in between, and their number is gradually increasing because, you know, they are all chronic cases. They, through their sports activities and this thing, they enjoy their life, right? So that is a different thing, you know, that is not exactly the rehabilitation because they have come across that page. So, and another problem, you know, this virtual physiotherapy, these things is, you know, people in India, they do not have smartphone, number one. Number two, there is no internet facility available everywhere. And to implement this, you require, you know, 2-3 people. One is the person, patient himself, there must be a caregiver, and third person is should, you know, give this internet connection. So that sometimes we find a lot of difficulties. You know, those people, they don't get adequate people to conduct these things. And when there is, in this COVID pandemic, where physical mode physiotherapy is not going to be possible, you know, something is better than nothing. This virtual mode is definitely is useful, and we get, you know, number of patients, particularly those literate patients in urban area, they get benefited, irrespective of the condition, they get benefited by this virtual mode. Thank you once again for this virtual conference. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your concluding remarks. And now I am requesting to all the participants that if you have any query regarding the sessions and regarding the physiotherapy sessions or teletherapy, so you can ask to our 3 of the pillars, main pillars of this physiotherapy, like keynote speaker and to chair and chairpersons. Please, any of the participants have any type of problem, any type of, they can ask. So, and now requesting to Mr. Ehsan to please pay tribute to our chairperson, co-chairperson, and vote of thanks to all. Ehsan ji, please.
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू विद्या भूषण सर। इसी क्रम में हम इस प्रोग्राम के अंतिम क्षण में ले जाने की अनुमति चाहता हूं। चेयरपर्सन सर, प्लीज विद योर परमिशन सर, मैं आप सभी का धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगा हमारे चेयरपर्सन डॉक्टर पीपी मोहंती सर, जिन्होंने, और को चेयरपर्सन हमारे डॉक्टर प्रवीण कुमार सर, और कीनोट स्पीकर दशप्रीत कौर मैम, जिन्होंने अपना कीमती समय निकालकर हमें दिया इस वेबिनार को सक्षम बनाने में हमारे साथ। में धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगा हमारे डायरेक्टर सर डॉक्टर हिमांशु दास सर, जिन्होंने हमें इस प्लेटफॉर्म का मौका दिया और इस जो प्रोग्राम का हिस्सा बनने का मौका दिया, ताकि हम टेली रिहेबिलिटेशन सर्विसेज को प्रमोट कर सके। और मैं धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगा हमारे डॉक्टर संजीव के, जहाँ जो प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडियन एसोसिएशन ऑफ फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट के प्रेसिडेंट हैं, उनका धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगा। और हमारे डॉक्टर कृष्णा भाई सर, जो हमारे ऑनरेबल प्रेसिडेंट है ईशा इंडियन स्पीच एंड हियरिंग एसोसिएशन के। सो हमारे जो कोऑर्डिनेटर्स हैं डॉक्टर पंकज कुमार सर, उनको धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगा कि उन्होंने हमें इस प्लेटफॉर्म में बहुत गाइड किया है एंड सपोर्ट किया है। एंड धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगा डॉक्टर के.एम. आनामलई सर को, धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगा डॉक्टर सुमन कुमार सर को, जो कि ऑनरेबल सेक्रेटरी हैं ईशा के। एंड हमारे सेशन कोऑर्डिनेटर मिस्टर विद्या भूषण सर को धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगा। और ऑल प्रेजेंटर को, जिन्होंने प्रेजेंट किया है अपना पेपर, उनको धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं। और जितने भी पार्टिसिपेंट्स हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं अब तक, इन्होंने अच्छा कीमती समय निकाल करके हमको दिया है, सभी का मैं धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं। और चाहता हूं डेफिनेटली, ये उम्मीद है करता हूं कि जरूरी उन्होंने कुछ ना कुछ इस सेशन से टेली रिहेबिलिटेशन सर्विसेज के बारे में प्रमोट करने के रिगार्डिंग जरूर उनको कुछ बेनिफिट मिला होगा। हमारे कीनोट स्पीकर ने इतना अच्छा लेक्चर प्रेजेंटेशन आपको दिया है, इफेक्टिव नॉलेज हमारे प्रोवाइड की है, तो धन्यवाद। डेफिनेटली ये हम सबके लिए एक बेनिफिट होगा, एक लर्निंग एक्सपीरियंस होगा, और उम्मीद करता हूं कि नेक्स्ट हम इसी तरीके से ऑल प्रोग्राम्स के माध्यम से जुड़े रहेंगे। इसी के माध्यम से मैं आपको धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगा और अपने हमारे रिस्पेक्टेड चेयरपर्सन को चेयरपर्सन की आज्ञा से इस प्रोग्राम को मैं अंतिम क्षण में आपसे धन्यवाद कहना चाहता हूं। धन्यवाद सर। धन्यवाद मैम।